Hey there, welcome to San Diego Land Supreme Commander tutorial. I'm going to be showing you the main start of a quick match here and some basics. You've got the Aeon, which I'm going to be playing, the UEF, which has got a great defensive posture, the Cybran, who are offensive as well as they can start off much quicker, and the Seraphim, which is a race that was brought out in the Forged Alliance pack. You have main buildings, land factory, air factory, and naval factory. They build the majority of your units in the game. They can be built with engineers or your commander. You have both mass and power requirements. Mass creation makes more mass, and power creation makes more power. This is a power plant, and this is a hydrocarbon plant. Now it can only be put on top of hydrocarbon spots by engineers, not your commander. This is a mass extractor. It can only be put on mass extractor spots. This can be done by either engineers or commanders. Resources that are created are sent wirelessly, but because of this transmission, it's not very effective. So, once you have a Tech 2 or higher of either mass or energy, you would put storage around it. Energy storage for energy plants and mass storage for mass extractors, and that will give a direct connection to store anything created, increasing the effectiveness of that plant. For smaller power savings, you can put power plants next to things that use power, and they'll use less power per second for building. These are the types of turrets. You have land turrets called point defenses, you have anti-air turrets that only shoot air, and you have naval turrets that only shoot things in the water. You can have engineers assist other engineers by putting your main engineer on a task, then clicking on another engineer, and right-clicking on the first. Holding down Shift tells you which engineer is the leader of that pack. You only have to tell that engineer for the rest of the game, and the rest of the engineers will follow what it does from then on out. It makes them being in packs a lot easier. A Tech 1 land factory can build all sorts of Tech 1 units, from engineers to tanks, anti-air, and more. A Tech 1 air factory can build the same engineers, but as well as bombers, transports, and anti-air. The Tech 1 naval facility can also build Tech 1 engineers, as well as submarines, cruisers, and other Tech 1 boats. The Tech 2 land factory can build all that Tech 1 can, on top of the Tech 2 engineer, assault tanks, anti-air, and even shield units. The Tech 2 air factory can build all that Tech 1 can, as well as much more powerful aircraft, including a gunship and a really large air transport. The Tech 2 naval factory can build all that Tech 1 can, and much more, including a very good anti-air ship. Tech 2 turrets are some of the most powerful in the game. You've got different types of land and air turrets, as well as your first shields. Shields take a lot of energy, so you can always put power plants around it, and it'll use less per second. And you can even put on the other side energy storage, and it'll store the remaining in your queue. Now, Tech 3 land units are the most powerful in the game that can be brought out of a Tech 3 factory, and it can still build Tech 1 and 2 units. Tech 3 airships are amazing. They usually win you the game. The Tech 3 gunship is probably the best, in my opinion. The Tech 3 Scout has the largest viewing area in the game. The Tech 3 naval ships allow you to do things like aircraft carriers, and the missile boat, which you can see here, can attack something very far away in a barrage of missiles. This can usually decimate a base entirely by itself. There are 3 different tiers of radar in the game. It costs more to run per tech level, so make sure you have enough power for it. You can go directly from Tech 1 to 2 to Tech 3 throughout the course of the game, so it's something you can build earlier and upgrade. A Tech 2 engineer can build Tech 1 or Tech 2 items. A Tech 3 engineer can build Tech 1, Tech 2, Tech 3, and experimental items. Your commander can be upgraded by both his torso, left and right arm. I suggest the resource allocation upgrade myself. You can build assistant commanders that can also be upgraded themselves through something called the Quantum Gateway. Only Tech 3 engineers and upgraded commanders can build this, however. Eventually, you'll want to build these instead of Tech 3 engineers, because their resource allocation also lets you build more resources per second. We're talking about experimentals now. They are the biggest units in the game. They're bots that are built from Tech 3 engineers or support commanders. They cost a lot to build, and so you're going to need a lot of engineers to help, but they have a lot of damage potential. Some of them even have special abilities like creating their own units. Now, nukes are map-wide and can only be shot down by an anti-nuke. Now, building a nuclear silo or an anti-nuke silo alone does not help you. You do have to build the nukes and anti-nukes inside of them. A nuke is a super wide area effect and will take care of incoming army or an enemy base without any issue, assuming they don't have an anti-nuke set up nearby. Now, an anti-nuke will defend you against incoming nukes as long as they travel over the path of the anti-nuke sphere. They don't have to land near it, they just have to fly over it, and it'll take it down. Here's an example game. I'm going to start out with an easy AI. I'm playing Aeon from the AI is Cybran. I'm going to start out with a land factory. It is the cheapest factory to start out with. And I'm going to go ahead and hold down Shift and queue up my resources so I don't get into the negatives too quickly. So I'm building energy, mass, energy, mass, energy, mass to keep everything level. I'm putting the energy right up against the factory in order to help it with its power costs. And I'm already telling it to spit out engineers immediately. Those engineers are going to spread out and capture even more mass and power spots around the map. I usually have them go out in pairs so that there will be two bots building things twice as fast as normally they would. I went ahead and grabbed the hydrogen carbon plant right away, and I'll eventually put storage around it to make it more effective. And I'm just going around, I'm making a second base here with energy around it for my aircraft, so that if my main base gets taken out, I still have a way to create units. And I'm going ahead and upgrading my mass storage. Your mass extractors need to be Tech 2 in order for mass storage to be effective. So putting mass storage around a Tech 1 mass extractor does nothing. Here's my first wave attack. I'll go ahead and take care of his power first, just in case he has any early shields up. But he sends in his commander here and quickly takes care of my early rush. I use my second wave in order to push back his counterattack. Not too bad. Here's my air factory. Go ahead and start building some engineers out of this so that they can assist it in building aircraft. I go ahead and tell my engineers that aren't upgrading mass extractors to start building some anti-air and some point defenses because he's starting to get units in every once in a while. So we're, like I said earlier, we're building energy storage around the hydrocarbon plant to make it more effective, and we're starting to build Tech 2. I went ahead and upgraded my factory to Tech 2 and popped out some engineers, and those engineers are in turn creating Tech 2 turrets to keep the rush of incoming bots at bay. So here comes my second big wave attack. This is all Tech 2 for the most part, a little bit Tech 1 built in. I'm going for his mass this time. So mass is the hardest thing to get because you can only build mass extractors on those green mass points. But I can see his commanders just off screen there, destroying my units. So it was probably more annoying than it was a problem for him. But I went ahead and had a bunch of gunships lying in wait, and we're just gonna go in and hit his base and then his commander straight away. This game mode is set up for assassination, so that when the enemy commander dies, that is the end of the game. So that's our really quick and dirty tutorial for Supreme Commander. If you want to see our original tutorial, which is way more in depth and goes over everything, click here.